This is the official podcast of Swedish Experts, an auto service company that combines an engineering-driven approach, deep diagnostics, and a modern perspective on vehicle technology. Here we break down the key transport news from Dubai and the UAE. We analyze infrastructure developments and really discuss how they impact drivers, service providers, and the future of urban mobility. Okay, so let's unpack this. Our mission today is laser-focused. We are doing a deep dive into this huge slate of transport news and infrastructure developments coming out of Dubai and the wider UAE. We're specifically focusing on the major traffic law changes that are rolling out all the way through 2026. And we want to analyze their direct impact on you, the driver, the service provider, anyone who's just interested in how cities are evolving.
And it's more than just a regulatory refresh. It really feels like a foundational shift. Our sources confirm a pretty comprehensive multi-emirate overhaul. I mean, it covers everything from revised Darb tolls and new tech to dedicated vehicle lanes and even some highly specific bans across Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Sharjah, and Ajman.
So it's everywhere.
It is. So if you move around the UAE, this deep dive it's basically a critical blueprint for the next few years.
It's pretty clear that the main force driving this whole rollout is the need to tackle the growing traffic congestion is a common side effect of rapid growth. And at the same time, they're updating the infrastructure to handle future demand. It looks like the country's making some massive investments here.
What's fascinating to me is the sheer scale of the commitment. They're not just patching potholes. They've set in motion plans for the construction of a fourth federal highway.
The fourth one.
A fourth. And think about that for a second. A 120-kilometer artery designed with 12 lanes. That is just a gargantuan project, and it's aimed specifically at handling volume between the Emirates and, well, future-proofing the whole network.
And critically, they're not just waiting for the new highway to get built. They're also simultaneously widening the three existing major federal highways.
Right.
So for you, the listener, this means two things. First, a big capacity expansion in the medium term, but also probably considerable construction disruption for the next few years while these projects run at the same time.
Precisely. I mean, this kind of heavy infrastructure work is always disruptive, but it's necessary to keep pace with demand. And then if we move into the urban core, particularly in Dubai, they're directly tackling parking saturation.
That constant low-speed congestion from drivers just hunting for a spot.
Exactly.
So how are they trying to solve that in those really dense commercial areas?
By building up. Over the next couple of years, Dubai is slated for the construction of 5 multi-story car parking buildings.
And these are in the busiest districts.
Some of the busiest. Places like Al Souk, Al Kabir in Bur Dubai, Al Sabka, Al Riga, downtown Dubai, and Dadera. It concentrates parking vertically, which, theoretically frees up street space and cuts down on that cruising traffic that causes all the bottlenecks.
That structural investment is huge. But the sources also pointed to some changes that benefit specific communities. It shows this is a more holistic approach, not just centered on the private car user.
Absolutely. We're seeing non-motorist-focused changes, which are easy to miss in the headlines. For instance, in Dubai, new parking signs will prioritize worshippers near mosques.
Okay, creating dedicated access.
If only temporary, yes, during prayer times. And for anyone commuting with kids, Abu Dhabi is rolling out a new regulation requiring children under 15 on a school bus or in a car to be accompanied by an adult. That's aimed squarely at student safety.
And a very modern move, too, that I saw, supporting sustainable travel. The installation of several battery swapping stations for electric bikes across Dubai.
Yeah, that's a big one. If you're a delivery rider or just a commuter on an e-bike, suddenly range anxiety it disappears. It makes electric two-wheelers a much more viable daily option.
Okay, so if the infrastructure section was about massive construction, this next part is all about systemic policy changes, things driven by pricing and tech. Let's start with the Darb toll system revision in Abu Dhabi. That takes effect September 1, 2025. This is a big one for anyone commuting.
It is. It's particularly big for daily commuters who, structure their travel around peak hours. Historically, the evening peak was this narrow 2-hour window, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Right.
That window is being significantly extended. It's now going to run from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday. The morning hours stay the same, but that 4-hour evening peak is a major change.
Why start at 3 p.m.? Is that a reaction to maybe school dismissal times, mixing with people leaving work early, creating a longer afternoon jam?
That's the most likely analysis, yes. The goal is clearly to spread out demand and reduce the flow during what's become a really extended congestion period. But the truly critical shift, financially speaking, is the removal of the daily and monthly toll caps.
So wait, drivers no longer have a limit on what they might spend on tolls per day or per month. They just pay for every single crossing.
Precisely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, removing those caps is a direct financial incentive. I mean, it makes avoiding those peak hours almost financially mandatory for cost-conscious drivers and for commercial fleets.
And they are keeping the exemptions.
Thankfully, yes. Existing exemptions remain for eligible groups, people of determination, low-income families, senior citizens, and retirees. But for everyone else, that predictable monthly budget for tolls it's gone. It's replaced by a constant pricing pressure.
And that financial regulation is being paired right away with technological regulation. Abu Dhabi's Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Road introduced a new variable speed limit system back on October 27th. I've seen these abroad, and they can be tricky.
It raises a really important question about, dynamic traffic management and just driver awareness. The system uses electronic signs that are integrated with a central control system, and it pulls in real-time data from sensors and cameras. So this allows it to instantly adjust the posted speed limit based on what's happening on the road right now. Heavy congestion, an accident up ahead, maybe a temporary work zone.
So you could be driving at 120 kilometers per hour 1 minute, and then the sign suddenly dropped the limit to 80 because of something just around the bend. It demands constant attention from the driver.
It does. It shifts the burden of managing congestion from just static law enforcement to a dynamic system response. The goal is to reduce those stop-and-go waves that cause accidents and just ensure traffic flows smoothly, even if it's slower.
Meanwhile, Ajman is piloting this really remarkable first-in-the-country initiative, smart speed limiters, and they're installed in their entire fleet of taxis and limousines.
And what's so fascinating here is the automation. It's absolute. The system automatically adjusts the vehicle's speed based on its real-time GPS location and the posted road limit.
So it's a literal removal of human discretion.
Yeah.
You can't speed.
Exactly. It's a huge safety measure for professional drivers. It guarantees compliance without relying on cameras or fines. For the taxi company itself, it's instant risk mitigation.
This theme of targeted vehicle-specific regulation just continues. Let's talk about dedicated roads and restrictions for safety and efficiency, starting with a huge logistical change. The truck ban on several high-traffic Abu Dhabi roads. That's effective December 1st, 2025.
This is massive for haulage and logistics companies. I mean, trucks are being permanently rerouted from what were key connecting roads, like the E11 and the E10.
Huge arteries linking the Emirates.
Absolutely.
So where are they being sent instead?
They're being moved onto routes designed more for industrial traffic, specifically Al Faisal Shoaib Road, the E75, and Al Hafar. Additionally, Al Rada Road, the E30, will see peak hour restrictions, pushing truck traffic over the ICAD bridge during rush hours.
So what does this all mean for a service provider, for a logistics company?
Well, it means potentially longer transit times and increased operational costs. While the goals are excellent, protecting the road from heavy loads and creating a safer, faster environment for light vehicles, the logistical planning for companies moving goods has to change overnight. It forces haulers to shift delivery windows or face some pretty significant detours.
And we're seeing a similar segmentation approach applied to smaller vehicles, specifically the delivery rider bans from fast lanes in Dubai. That starts November 1st, 2025.
This rule seems like a direct response to safety concerns around motorbikes. I mean, given that they're among the most vulnerable vehicles on the road, especially at high speeds, this regulation basically pulls them out of the highest risk environments.
What are the specific rules there?
They are now prohibited from using the two leftmost lanes on wider roads, so 5 lanes or more, and the single leftmost lane on roads with 3 or 4 lanes.
And smaller roads.
If a road only has 2 lanes or fewer, they can use either side freely. And the restrictions are already being indicated on directional signboards. For the delivery rider, this means significantly altering your route planning. You just can't rely on the fast lane anymore for quick transit on major highways.
Sharjah also introduced dedicated lanes, effective November 1st, with an extremely granular set of rules depending on the lane count.
Yeah, Sharjah has taken segmentation and enforcement to an even more detailed level. In their system, the far right lane is now reserved exclusively for heavy vehicles and buses. At the same time, motorbike riders are banned from the far left fast lanes.
That sounds confusing to enforce, especially for someone who isn't a local driver. Can you sort of simplify the main behavioral shift?
Essentially, if you're driving a heavy vehicle in Sharjah, you have to stick to the right. If you're a motorbike rider, you have to stay off the far left. So for example, on a 4-lane road, motorbikes can only use the 2 rightmost lanes. On a two-lane road, they have to stay in the right lane.
And it's all automated enforcement.
The system is backed up by 24-hour radars and smart camera systems to monitor traffic, so yeah, compliance is expected and automated.
Speaking of automated enforcement, Dubai is adding what they're calling new solid lanes, or no passing lines on major arteries. Places like Etihad Road, Baghdad Street, and the big highways, E311 and E611.
These are continuous white lines that motorists must not cross them. And this isn't just about lane discipline. It's a regulatory marking that prohibits overtaking, switching lanes, or even taking a turn across the line. This is the government defining specific choke points where the flow must be maintained.
And disrupting that flow is now a guaranteed fine.
A guaranteed DH400 fine. And reports of high-res overhead cameras on these specific segments confirm that enforcement is immediate, automatic, and, well, omnipresent.
All right, let's talk about the financial landscape, which impacts pretty much everyone. Dubai taxi fare changes kicked in this November for smart app bookings. The minimum fare went up from DH12 to DH13. That seems straightforward enough, but the sources show the real complexity is in the new peak hour rates.
The complexity is. It's astonishing, and it's highly specific. It demands intense awareness from service providers and users. The flag fall, that's the initial booking fee, and the surcharge, they now vary dramatically by day and by time slot. For instance, the standard flag fall is DH5, but it jumps to DH5.5 during specific peak times.
Can you give us an example of how that complexity works?
Sure. Let's say you book a taxi during the standard Monday to Thursday peak, which runs from 8 a.m. to about 10 a.m. and again from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. You'll pay the standard flag fall and a standard surcharge.
Okay.
But if you book on a Friday afternoon, the whole structure changes with an extended peak period. If you book late on a Saturday or Sunday, you might hit an entirely different pricing slot. Service providers, the drivers especially, now have to mentally calculate these varying fees, which can range from DH4 to DH7.5, just to know their revenue rate per trip. It makes financial planning much harder.
It sounds like a system designed to precisely manage demand almost minute by minute by making the costs incredibly visible and variable.
That's exactly right. And this pricing strategy extends even to parking around communal areas. The sources detail the implementation of 24-hour paid parking at mosques starting in August 2025.
24 hours, even outside of prayer times. That seems highly unusual for spaces that were traditionally free for the community.
It is a major shift in how urban real estate is managed. Paid parking services will be implemented 247 with one crucial exemption. Free parking is provided for 1 hour during prayer time, specifically for worshipers. Outside of those times, these spaces revert to paid public parking.
And are these spots priced like regular street parking?
Yes, they're integrated into the existing structure, but with two zones. There's Zone M, which is standard at DH4 an hour, and Zone MP, which is premium, and that costs DH6 per hour during peak times. This move signals that land near community centers is now viewed primarily as a revenue-generating asset and a traffic management tool.
And finally, we get to the ultimate integration of data, fines and parking spaces. This is arguably the biggest game changer for enforcement and tracking.
This is a significant technological leap that became operational back in October. So for context, Parkin is Dubai's main public parking payment and management system. Now, Dubai police systems are directly connected to Parkin's smart platforms.
Okay, so what does that technical connection mean practically for the driver?
It means that the moment a vehicle uses any public parking facility, whether it's street parking or one of the new buildings, the system instantly cross-references the license plate. If that vehicle has outstanding fines or warrants or seizure orders, the police are immediately alerted.
Wow. So that level of data sharing transforms a routine action, just parking your car, into a potential checkpoint. It supports police efforts to detect wanted vehicles the second they stop moving.
Exactly. It makes enforcement passive, pervasive, and highly efficient. It creates a powerful new layer of monitoring within the city that uses everyday service platforms to ensure compliance.
Okay, let's try to unpack all of this. We've seen 4 major interwoven themes emerge across the Emirates. First, just vast infrastructure investment to meet future capacity. Second, highly targeted vehicle segmentation through bans and dedicated lanes to improve safety and flow. Third, heavy use of technology-driven regulation variable speeds, smart limiters, automated cameras.
And finally, those revised mobility costs, which are becoming more and more variable and complex, and that's impacting the daily budgets of commuters and service providers.
It's a lot to take in.
If we connect all this to the bigger picture, these shifts clearly demonstrate a transition, a move toward a highly structured, data-driven urban environment. Efficiency and infrastructure preservation, they seem to be the ultimate priorities. And they're being achieved through this sophisticated web of rules and technology that really it necessitates a change in the daily commuting habits of pretty much every resident. The era of predictable, static traffic policy is over.
So here's a final thought. Given this aggressive integration of smart technology for enforcement, from variable speeds on the highway to park and fine integration, and this pervasive camera surveillance, what future ethical or practical challenges might arise from an environment where vehicle regulation and fine collection are almost entirely automated and omnipresent? That is certainly something for you to ponder as these systems become a routine part of life on the road. Thank you for joining us. This was the Swedish Experts Podcast. Subscribe so you don't miss upcoming episodes covering the latest transport news from Dubai and the UAE. See you in the next episode.